performers and stuff like that. So, and I don't ascribe to that. To me, this was I like fucking. I like having sex with people. So if people want to pay me to do that, then that's fucking
Sure.
great.
You also find it empowering. Are you empowered by it? Because there is obviously some people that might be have the victim mentality, but you seem to be very alpha, very empowered by all this.
Yeah. Well, I think porn either makes you or breaks you, and I think that's true of a lot of entertainment. Anything where you guys know you're public facing, right? So it either inspires you to become better, and you become a better version of yourself, or you say I can't do this, and then you collapse. And I think that, probably 80% of the world is in the latter category. So if you look at the data, you would say, oh my God, porn ruins 80% of women. Yeah, but what about the 20% who are doing fucking fantastic? So that kind of, that Pareto chart, and also because the perception of pornography is, hey, you have to, it's like the last chance before working at, whatever. So some, low tier shit. Like a lot of the girls come in and they don't appreciate it or take advantage of it. I see that a lot with the way people treat their fans. Like I really like when shows like yourselves and people who are public facing appreciate the people who engage with them. I think that's important. And so porn they have not gotten, I don't know if they understand the new world economy. So there's some really great people and then there's a lot of shit. So it's kind of like, and I think it too, the society expects women who are fucked up to go into porn. So that women who are fucked up show up in porn and then they fail out and they don't know why. Most of the people who are very successful in the adult business are pretty together.
Yeah. And to me, I never understand the negative connotation that is put on, especially women who are in porn, because porn is something, people might not like to admit it, but most people watch porn in some capacity, I would say. I don't know. I can't say that everybody watches porn, but at least at some point, a lot of people watch porn. So it's something that everybody does, to some degree.
I think what it is, and especially right now, you have a very, I think like Nietzsche would call it like a slave morality kind of mentality happening. You have a very feminine model of the world. Well, you see this right now, like in the last political cycle, right? And it was all about Hillary Clinton didn't get elected because she has a vagina and the world's misogynistic and blah, blah, blah. So when you have a society that's very female-led like this, and you have women who are really sexually not competitive because they're postmenopausal or they're sterile or whatever, making policy decisions and making cultural decisions, you actually start to see pornography portrayed in a less favorable light. And that's the only people who really oppose pornography, like on a top level, are the extreme religious groups or women's groups.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I like the fact that you. I like the fact you leverage it to your advantage. I mean, on your social media, you platform yourself and position yourself to be available to your fans and people that actually like having conversations with you. I think that's a huge testimony to how you use the adult industry to your advantage and not let them use you. So, I've seen it. I mean, that's one of the reasons I recommended you. I was like, this is somebody who's got their shit together, that knows how to use the media and actually seems to really care about their fans and wants to have conversations and engages with them. And I was very impressed by that, to be honest with you. I think you were the only adult star that I even followed until like recently, only because I tagged a couple other people, but really it was just you, to be honest with you.
Well, I think that's, I think anytime you're doing anything that's facing for media facing in the world, same with you guys, people, you don't always realize how important what you're doing is to some people. Like you guys realize it this week. When you're not on live, people are like, wait a second, like they have a ritual that they spend time with.
Yeah,
they go through withdrawals. I literally just got somebody posted on my Facebook right now. They're going through non-sequitur withdrawals, and we've only been off air for 2 days.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And I think that, it's remembering how important your impact can be in the world. I think in porn in general, especially in the past, there's kind of this mentality of, we don't matter, or it's that victim mentality thing, right? But I get these amazing emails from people all over the world, a lot of military, because I'm very active in their community, and realizing how, like, these people have been spending time with videos that I'll make custom videos for people and they'll watch it every day, when they're deployed. So, whatever. So I care about the people who follow my work. It's why I'm allowed. I can do what I do, and I'm grateful for it. But also, I think it matters, and I think we need to. All of us in the world need to be in a conversation that like what we're doing matters and impacts other people, whether we realize it or not. And
Absolutely.
There's not a lot of personal responsibility. There's not like in society right now. It's just like I still see a lot of fighting about an election that happened 2 years ago. Like, when are we going to fucking grow up as a group?
That's a good point.
That's done. That's over.
That's a good
so,
point.
like, guess what? But he's the president for the next 2 fucking years. So how do you want to play this? You want to position yourself so that in the future the people that you want get in, or do you want to bitch and whine, piss and moan, and think that somehow it's going to change the past?
Yeah.
Speaking of,
you got to look forward, right? Not past. Yeah.
Speaking of that, let me ask you just as a side note: would $150,000 be enough for you for Trump?
Well, honestly, look, and I don't know Stormy personally. I don't know that I personally would ethically take hush money anyway, to begin with. I mean, look, I don't know what her relationship with how it was based, whether it was transactional or not. But what I do know is that if they engage in that kind of work and men provide some sort of transactional system for them, there's some sort of asset that changes hands, then the presumption would be that transaction is closed, right? Like in any other contract, there's an offer, and it's accepted, and the deal's done. So to renege on that,
it's a fulfilled contract,
right? And then not only was it fulfilled, but then it was fulfilled again for an additional $150,000, right? So now that one was reneged on as well. Do I particularly like Trump? I'm really kind of indifferent when it comes to politicians. I think that General Mattis is a very important piece of that administration, and if he's dismissed, that will absolutely change my perception of that administration. But I'm not sure exactly what Stormy is after. I know that they're trying to leverage, an inquest into Trump's finances. And that's a very interesting. Look, I mean, I don't about history. Lots of news as a way to men down. The greatest men are the ones who are a lot. That's why a lot of times you see gay men in charge of things, because there's no way to honeypot them.
Yep.
So
that's a good point. That's a very good point. So I wanted to kind of go through a little bit, and I saw that online you're really big into net neutrality, and so I want to talk a little bit in here in just a second about net neutrality. But to kind of answer some of the questions, like I think that most people have about the porn industry and just kind of how things go. How many times, like either a month, or how often are you filming? And how do you select like who you're going to do a scene with, or how does that process go?
Well, I work a lot, so I work probably about anywhere from 10 to 20 days a month, which is a lot for a performer, because most performers probably work 1 to 2 days a week, so maybe 8 times a month. I think one of the top agents says his goal is to have all his girls work 12 days a month. I often work more than that. I'm lucky because there's 3 Latina MILFs in the whole industry, and we're all spread out. So.
Nice. Is it a niche thing? Is that what it is? A little niche that you have going on?
Yeah, and then because the industry is it's pretty much all site SEO. That's every porn scene. That's why you'll see them now. Interracial stepmoms, cuckold, babysitting teens with braces. You know what I mean?
I'm guilty of all of those.
Check. So that's kind of, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, so that's kind of that's kind of the deal in the industry. I fit a lot of those check marks, so I work more. Whereas some girl who's very young, or she's really really got a really specific look, or she's very ethnically one way or the other, then they work less. So I have all the where I get to be in the movies with the white girls and then the Latin ones. And,
excellent.
They made a lot.
Do you have to fly to various studios for that, or?
What's that?
You're not old enough to be a MILF yet, are you?
I am. Well,
I think
I'm 30.
Oh, you look like you're 29.
30. Yeah, I'm 35. I'll be 36. this year.
It's hard to believe it's hard to believe that's considered to be a MILF in the first place, but 35 is like a baby to me. You're a kid.
I think that they're going for like it's your friend who was his mom was 16 when she had him. It's like that kind of the hot mom thing. That's
I got you.
But do you fly to various studios for this? I mean, how do they get everybody together to do a shoot? Obviously, people live in different locations and stuff like that.
Yeah, most of it's in LA. So like LA, Miami, and Vegas all have kind of their own industries. Vegas is very fetish culture heavy. Miami has a lot of like the new girls. For some reason, that's where all the new girl talent seems to come through. And then LA is kind of the core industry that's like more corporate. And then Montreal is a big corporate office, one of the big companies. But for the most part, most of the shooting's done in LA. There's like 10 shoot houses that everybody uses that we've all shot in a million times. And then with partners, sometimes they let us pick. So like that one buy scene that you saw with D. Arclight and Sergeant Miles, I actually chose them because they came to me, and a lot of the girls don't do buy scenes. There's unfortunately a lot of stigma still about what they call crossover performers, which are performers who are male, who do both gay and straight scenes or work with transsexuals. And most of that is based on ignorance and their misunderstanding. Back in the 90s, people were afraid of HIV. And the testing protocol they used was the ELISA test. That took 3 months for HIV to show up. And by the time you tested positive on the test, you could have spread it to other people, right? So there was a lot of concern about mixing those two communities. Now with the microRNA test, it picks up the virus before it's transmittable or transmissible. So before the viral load is high. You can get HIV and have it for like something like 4 weeks and not have a high enough viral load to transmit it to other people. So, but we're looking for that marker. We find it as soon as it's in the bloodstream. So that's why we haven't had an onset transmission in like 12 years. But like the buy scenes, for example, I chose them because I don't do a lot of buy scenes, but I do them because I will work with anyone I feel like working with. And I don't give a fuck what their, perception is. Because I know what the science is. Yeah. So, I mean, like when I started working with a lot of the transsexual women about 3 years ago, they said, you're going to get blacklisted. No one will work with you again after you work with them. And I said, you can go fuck yourselves. So I did it anyway. And I did a
good for you.
Big movie. Yeah, it was a great film because it was about a woman named River Stark. This is her real life story. She's a combat vet who transitioned after she came back from like her third tour in Afghanistan. And all of the things that happened because she'd been married and had kids. This was a fucking big deal. And so I played the wife, and it was a very heavy film. And it didn't win any awards. I think it should have won something, but it was so heavy that I think people didn't know what to do with it. But it was great. And it actually, ever since then, now these other girls who are big names are now working with the transsexual performers. So I think that kind of, because I'm not going to get blacklisted for that. Like there's 2 other Latin girls blacklist me. It's not going to happen. It's stupid.
Queen Bee. For me, some of my I'll go ahead and put this out there. I love buy scenes, and some of my favorite male porn stars are crossovers that do both. So I'm a huge fan. Yeah. You should do more. You should definitely do more.
I love it. I think the production.
See, now you're talking his language. I don't know the name of a single one of them. So now you're in Kyle's territory. He's with you. He's right there with you on this.
Yeah,
I'm really reviving. There's
exactly
nothing like a crossover performance. I think that performers should be. See, here's the thing. I live in a world where, if you're a performer, your job is to channel a variety of experiences for other people to relate to. That's what we're doing. So whenever I deal with a performer, it's like, no, I won't work with this group of people. I'm like, well, then you're going to do shit everywhere because you're not expanded enough mentally to be able to say, hey, this is what I do. And I understand people's boundaries and stuff like that, but it's the judgment.
Yeah.
Higher disease risk. I'm like, no, there's not. And actually, anytime I've gotten like chlamydia 3 times in the industry, and every single time it was because some girl went out to some fucking EDC type party and had like a train run on her, and then shows up to work 3 days later, and I have chlamydia. I'm more worried about those girls than male crossover performers.
Yeah.
Oh man, when you're doing a scene, how much of it is like, I'm trying to think of how to word this. How much is it is like actual enjoyment, and how much is it is, that edit, that exaggeration,
exactly.
kind of thing. Because